This project is sponsored by the CFMA, the Cajun French Music Association.
The CFMA was organized in 1984 for the preservation of the Cajun culture and music here in Louisiana. We are proud to be the sponsor of this children's video on the history of the Acadians.
The project you're about to see is important for several reasons. For one, this is a project that takes a look at Louisiana's French history as a part of the process of learning a language, because language does not exist in a vacuum. You don't learn a language only to learn a language. You learn a language to appreciate its music and its stories and to live in that language. And learning about the history and the culture that is expressed by that language is a very important factor. And the other aspect that's very important is that this project was entirely generated by students who have learned to tell their own story, and they're learning not only about their history and culture and doing it in the language that they're trying to learn for the future, but they're also learning about the process, the media process that we all need to know about to tell our own story, so that we can define ourselves and not have ourselves defined by the outside.
Bonjour, I'm Harry Lafleur, and I'm proud that CFMA is the parrain of this project.
Viens voir l'aura, le plus gros cimetière, viens voir tout le monde qui fait de vie pour nous. 1755, c'était l'année de l'Acadiens. Viens voir Châteauvieux, dit des belles prières.
Bonjour. My name is Michael Barron. I am 10 years old and I am in the 5th grade French program at L.J. Alleman in Lafayette Parish. I am learning to speak French and my grandmother is thrilled.
And my name is Michelle Pearson. I'm 11 years old and I'm in the French program also. I really enjoy studying French.
Me too, Michelle. in celebration of Francofête and the World Acadian Reunion in 1999, and to introduce the history of the Acadians, or Cajuns as you know them here in Louisiana, we are proud to present this video. We hope you enjoy what you learned and share it with others. In Louisiana, the Cajuns speak French. But who are the Cajuns? Why do they speak French? And why are they here in Louisiana and not in Colorado or Minnesota or South Dakota? Well, the reason for this video is to explain all that. Come with us. Why this video? Number 1, to understand why Louisiana is French speaking. Number 2, to be able to explain why to others. So, listen well, because at the end there's a test. Guilbeault, Martin, Savoie, Richard, Pellarin, Thériault, Robichaud, Landry, Ranger, Leblanc, Langlois, Mouton, Trahan, Thibaudot, Olivier, Poitiers, Hébert, Mercier, all Acadian family names. But why are they here in Louisiana? A long way away from France and a long way away from a land we call Acadia. Why? Let me explain. This story begins a long time ago. This story begins in France. This is France. And this is Acadia. It's the year 1599. In France, there are some brave and curious men. They are called explorers. In 1599, one of these French explorers named Samuel de Champlain says goodbye to France and sails with others to explore the other side of the Atlantic. After about 3 months, they arrive in a beautiful land. There are plenty of fish and furs for trapping, and they see that they can make a good living here. The local Micmac Indians called the land Castille, which means beautiful place. The French explorers named it Castille. The explorers returned to France to tell King Louis XIV the good news. The King of France is very pleased. He decides to have them establish a colony in this beautiful region. Some people from the Poitou region in France are very interested in going to see this beautiful Castille. So, in 1604, Samuel de Champlain and a group of craftsmen and farmers sail back across the Atlantic to Castille in the area known today as Eastern Canada. Later, the name changes to Acadia. It is the year 1605. The first French colony is established at Port Royal in Acadia. Later, in 1632, other French colonists arrived to begin their life in Acadia.
These French colonists become known as Acadians.
Qui passait devant chez nous, as-tu lu l'évangéline? Viens venant à Réchipoptou, que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle, parle venant de Réchipoptou. Va-t'en engraisser ta voiture, va-t'en faire et ta jument. Nous partirons de bonne heure à la brume du matin, que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Jim a mis sa cravate à l'envers, ses souliers dans le mauvais pied, ses culottes devant derrière, il avait l'air tout énervé, que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Arrivé à Boctouche, il faut arrêter un instant pour nous acheter des cartouches pour faire manger aux venants. Que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Arrivé à Chopiche, à la butte des Macintosh, j'ai dit à Jim, va pas si vite, faut nous ramasser des roches. Que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Arrive à la butte des Macintosh, oh, qui s'habite sur un petit pont, on attendait la grande femme blanche, c'est là qu'on a pris des frissons. Que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Le lendemain, nous étions malades, avec un rhume de cerveau. Moi et puis mon ami Jim, on toussait comme des vrais porcos. Que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Si jamais Évangeline dit qu'en venant à Réchipoptou, on a décidé, moi et Jim, qu'on allait rester chez nous. Que tout le monde parle, ring-a-ting-a-ting-ka-ting-li-lom, que tout le monde parle venant de Réchipoptou. Je me promenais à la campagne pour l'été, je vous dis que j'en ai arraché, les maringouins m'ont tout mangé. Quand ils m'ont vu arriver, ils m'ont fait une belle façon, sont venus en devant de moi, c'était comme une procession.
The Acadians become good friends with the local Micmac Indians. It's the year 1613. A French boat by the name of Fleur de Mai, which means Mayflower, leaves France for Acadia. 7 years later, in 1620, an English boat by the name of Mayflower arrives in Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts. English boats are also in Acadia. They want to make money too, selling fish and furs. Meanwhile, in 1699, another French explorer named Iberville arrives here in Louisiana on Mardi Gras Day. He establishes a colony 60 miles south of New Orleans. Later, the Spanish arrive. The children of these French and Spanish colonists are called Creoles.
It is now the year 1713. War breaks out between the French and the English in Acadia. The English win the war and they rename Acadia Nova Scotia, which means New Scotland. The English governor, Governor Lawrence, who is not very kind, plots to get rid of the Acadians. Why? Because he is afraid that they will fight with the French against the British. But the Acadians just want peace. It's 1755. The British burn all the Acadians' houses and steal all of their land. The Acadians are now without homes or a country, but they are brave anyway. Ils ont volé toute notre terre. Ils ont brûlé toutes les maisons. C'était fait pour l'Angleterre. J'ai perdu mon petit garçon. Governor Lawrence tries to force the Acadians to take an oath of allegiance to the British flag. But the Acadians refuse. So he throws them out of Acadia.
Réveille, hommes acadiens, pour sauver le village. Mon grand-père est venu de la Bretagne. Le sang de ma famille est mouillé l'Acadie. Et l'Alleman viennent nous chasser comme des bêtes, détruire les familles, nous jeter tous au vent. Réveille.
Between 1755 and 1785, the homeless Acadians wander around. Some are in Georgia, in Virginia, in France, in prisons in England, some who are engaged to be married are split up and never see each other again, like the famous characters Evangeline and Gabriel. On a embarqué sur les bateaux pour prendre le grand voyage. Ma famille était séparée, pour toujours une famille cassée. Il y en a qui souffert la mort. Il y en a qui ont été vendus pour des esclaves dans la Georgie. On s'est disparu, mais tout partout. The French government feels some responsibility for the Acadians since they were, at one time, French citizens. So, they build 54 homes for the Acadians in the area of Poitou, the same area that they had left behind some 150 years ago. 8 of these houses still stand today. We are now in the year 1785.
7 boats carrying 3,000 Acadians arrive in Louisiana from France. This period marks the end of the Grand Migration. But why Louisiana? Ah, don't forget that Louisiana has been a French colony since 1699.
Louisiana is under Spanish rule in 1785, but the Spanish government agrees to take in the 3,000 Acadians because they need colonists. The Acadians become known as the Cajuns and continue to speak French today. On a trouvé notre pays, la Louisiane notre paradis, les prairies et les marais, la meilleure place pour habiter.
Acadie à la Louisiane, un grand voyage pour notre monde, pour trouver la liberté.
It is 1960. A law is passed in Louisiana forbidding anyone to speak French on the playground at school. Little Cajun children are punished or made fun of if they dared to speak French at school, the only language that they know.
There was a time in Louisiana when the use of French on the school ground was prohibited. The kids could not speak French on the school ground. If you did speak French, you were punished if the teachers caught you speaking French, whether in play or jest or any kind of way. Usually the punishment was if you could write, if you were in second or third grade, if you could write enough to write 200 lines, then that's what the punishment was. Other punishments included kneeling on gravels, small pea gravels, or kneeling on corn, sitting in the corner with a dunce cap. Other forms of punishment were getting beat on the knuckles with rulers and just all kind of punishments that ridiculous, but it was part of the law, and we endured it.
In the school.
It's now 1968. 52 years later. French is in danger of disappearing in Louisiana unless something is done. Thanks to Mr. James de Mongeau, a legislator from Lafayette, the state agrees to fund the Council for the Development of French in Louisiana, known as CODOFIL. CODOFIL works for the preservation of the French language in Louisiana. It's 1974. At Judge Alan Bobino's suggestion, the Louisiana legislature adopts a flag for Acadiana, designed by Mr. Thomas Arsenault. The three fleur-de-lis on the blue background represent France, the native country of the Acadians.
The yellow castle on the red background stands for the Spanish government who welcomed the Acadians in Louisiana in 1785. And the yellow star on the white background stands for the Virgin Mary, the patron saint of the Acadians.
It's 1983. Another law is passed. This is another effort to save the French language in Louisiana. For 30 minutes a day, from Monday to Friday, 9 and 10-year-olds, like me, study French in school. I love it.
Le français est très important pour moi parce que c'est amusé, c'est facile et je parle deux langages, pas juste une. Un jour, je veux visiter la France ou l'Acadie.
It's still 1983. Calcasieu Parish begins a French immersion program modeled after the one at La Belaire Elementary in Baton Rouge.
Today, there are 26 French immersion programs in 8 parishes across the state. Students study math, science, social studies, PE, and music in French.
I have a grandson that is in the French immersion program, and I want to tell you what a pleasure it is for me as a grandmother, as a Cajun grandmother, to be able to visit with this child in French, in our beautiful Cajun language. I just wish this wonderful program were in every school in the state.
J'ai suivi tout à l'heure en sautillant et en grelottant.
Je neige parce que j'avais vu sur la télévision, c'est vrai.
Devant la cheminée. Regarde la photo de Père Noël et les...
Their day is all in French, except for 2.5 hours for language arts in English. Studying a foreign language uses both the left side and the right side of your brain. It really helps your thinking skills.
Tu peux regarder quand tu étais plus petit comment tu as changé et c'est beau de voir qu'il continue de faire ça et il met de l'enthousiasme à parler français.
In 1984, the Cajun French Music Association is established to promote and preserve Cajun music and culture.
We are now in 1990. There are about 262,000 Acadians left in Canada. Most of them live in New Brunswick. The others are in different areas of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island in the maritime provinces of Canada. Others are in Quebec and elsewhere. In Louisiana, about 900,000 people are of French or Acadian ancestry. 262,000 still speak French. 200 years later. Wow, that's amazing. It's 1994. The Acadians from the north meet their Cajun cousins for the first time at the first World Acadian Reunion in New Brunswick. Many Cajuns make the trip to meet their Acadian cousins.
On n'avait pas eu le choix de partir. C'est le temps pour se revoir, chanter, danser ensemble où ça a tout commencé, presque 400 ans passés. Acadie de nos cœurs, en fait c'est ton heure, tes enfants reviennent dans tes bras. Acadie de nos cœurs, en fait c'est ton heure, tes enfants reviennent dans tes bras. Viennent du nord et de l'est, pour fêter la joie de vivre, viennent du sud et de l'ouest, attirés par les racines. T'es mon frère, t'es ma sœur, j'ai point connu jusqu'à cette heure, je peux voir dans tes yeux comment t'as pas pu oublier. Acadie de nos cœurs, en fait c'est ton heure,
Now it's 1995. There is another group guarding over the French language in Louisiana. It is called Action Cajun, or Cajun Action Committee. It is the watchdog of the language. There are 250 members from as far as Honolulu to Norway.
1995. Miss Erlene Broussard, director of Codofield, begins an adult program called ABC 2000 to teach Cajuns to read and write the French language that they have always spoken.
Yeah, si nous autres, pour des années ici, être un Acadien, c'était 2 ou 3 classes plus bas qu'être un Américain. On venait de tout partout pour danser et rencontrer des amis. Avoir pris les cours, ça m'a fait comprendre que je suis aussi à la même level avec les Américains alentour de moi et que je suis pas plus bas. Et surtout depuis qu'on connaît plus de nos ancêtres, ça m'a fait être fier d'être Acadien.
It's 1997. Mike Doucet and his band, Beau Soleil, pronounced Beau Soul A, wins a Grammy for Cajun music in Hollywood. Another Cajun musician, Zachary Richard, wins one in Canada. Several years before, Zydeco musicians Clifton Chenier, Rockin' Sydney, and Queen Ida also won Grammys for their music. It's 1999 and Louisiana is having a big party. It's a birthday party, a celebration of 300 years of French in Louisiana.
And in August of 1999, the second World Acadian Reunion takes place. But this time, it's in Louisiana. 85 Acadian family reunions take place. Waylon Thibodeau's song tells that story. Arsenaults, Boudreaux, Cormiers, Dugas, Guidrys, Richards, Thibodeaux, Vincents, and many others.
And that's the story of why Louisiana speaks French. Pass it on, Sha.
And now, just to see if you paid attention, here's a test. Questions number 1 to 10 are worth 10 points each. Questions 11, 12, and 13 are bonus questions and are also worth 10 points. Good luck!
Number 1. Name 3 reasons why this video is important. Three reasons why this video is important are 1. To understand why Louisiana is French speaking. 2. to be able to explain why to others. 3. Because Louisiana speaks French. Number 2. Samuel de Champlain, a French explorer, established a colony at Port Royal in Acadia in A. 1604, B. 1613, C. 1605, or D. 1655. The correct answer is C. 1605. Number 3. The English ship, the Mayflower, arrived at Plymouth Rock in A. 1492, B. 1620, C. 1613, or D. 1604. The correct answer is B. The Mayflower arrived at Plymouth Rock in 1620. Number 4. A French explorer named Blanc established a French colony 60 miles south of New Orleans on Mardi Gras Day, 1699. Is it A. Samuel de Champlain, B. James de Mongeau, C. d'Iberville, or D. Cavalier de la Salle? The correct answer is C. d'Iberville. Number 5. Francofête is a celebration of blank years of French in Louisiana. Is it A. 300 years, B. 200 years, C. 100 years, or D. 30 years? The correct answer is A. 300 years. Number 6. In 1713, Acadia is renamed blank by the English. Is it A. Louisiana, B. Nova Scotia, C. Quebec, or D. New France? The correct answer is B. Acadia is renamed Nova Scotia. Number 7. The Acadians refused to pledge their allegiance to the blank flag. Is it A. Spanish, B. English, C. French, or D. American? The correct answer is B. The British flag. Number 8. Governor Lawrence threw the Acadians out of Acadia in A. 1755, B. 1776, C. 1785, or D. 1699. The correct answer is A. 1755. The deportation was in 1755. Number 9. Between 1755 and 1785, the Acadians are A. in prisons in London, B. in France, C. scattered throughout the 13 British colonies, D. all of the above. The correct answer is D, all of the above. Number 10. In 1785, 7 boats with 3,000 Acadians left France to come to Louisiana. This period in Acadian history is known as A, the American Revolution, B, the Grand Migration, C, the French Revolution, or D, Le Tour de France. The correct answer is B, the Grand Migration.
And now, 3 bonus questions.
Number 11. Blank began Coteaufield in 1968 in Louisiana. Is it A, Zachary Richard, B, Harry Lafleur, C, James de Mongeau, or D, Dudley J. LeBlanc? The correct answer is C. Mr. James de Mongeau is the founder of Coteaufield. Number 12. A law was passed in 1916. No blank allowed on the school grounds. Is it A, French, B, dancing, C, dogs, or D, children? The correct answer is A, no French allowed. Number 13. The World's Acadian Reunion in 1999 was about A, boudin eating contests, B, crawfish eating contests, C, Acadian family reunions, or D, English family reunions. The correct answer is C, Acadian family reunions.
Okay, that's all, folks. The video and the test are finished. And now, the results. Let's see how you did. If you didn't miss any, you have, of course, an A. Good for you. You're a good listener. Bravo. If you missed only one, you have a B. If you missed 2, you get a C. If you missed 3, you have a D. If you missed 4, you get a big, fat F. You'll have to stay in at recess and repeat the whole class, Sha. The rest of you, let's go visit with today's Cajuns. Au revoir!
Vite ta ville, mais y'a tout peu, mon petit, ça te connaît. Mon toirier, les prières, et chaille connaît. Le plus vieux ne vient, ne veut essayer, fais ça qui vient. Que toi, sage et petit, un jour nous va mourir.